Yo, what's up? My name is Andrew Arcangeli. I'm a professional storyboard artist and illustrator and voiceover artist, video editor. I do a lot of post and pre-production stuff professionally, and I have a lot of fun. And today I'm going to be answering some questions for this publication. First question is, how did you get started? So I've been drawing ever since preschool, and I think the first thing I drew was the outline of a dead lizard's body on sidewalk, according to my parents, with chalk. I don't remember doing that, but supposedly that's where my fascination began. In kindergarten, my parents signed a permission slip for me to skip nap time so I could draw while all the other kids were asleep. I was a pretty creepy kid. I really liked monsters and comics and movies and anime, and that sort of informed my direction professionally. My parents always embraced my talents and passions, and they always made a way for me to use them. So they were very encouraging from a young age, and that was very helpful. So those are my origins. What place in the world inspires you most? So I've been to Japan 5 times. I just got back from a month trip in November, and I love Japan. I think what's so great about Japan is, if you're like me, if you're really into cartooning and illustration, they have a lot of signs that employ cartoon characters to teach you certain things. For example, they have like little signs that teach you to be careful of the train tracks, or teach you how to walk next to other people in a courteous way so that you're not taking up space. Like, everything is sort of explained through cartoons, which I think is really awesome. Japanese also have just an impeccable sort of very iconic style when it comes to from everything to fashion, architecture, to their media. It's all very distinctly Japanese. And I think that style sort of influences a lot of what you see in modern media, especially if you're a minimalist. I think there's a lot that Japanese artists do with a little, and it's very striking. So, huge anime fan, huge manga fan. I go to Japan all the time. Definitely my most inspiring traveling destination. What is your biggest professional goal or dream? If you would have asked me that 5 years ago, I probably would have said executive producer at Cartoon Network. A lot has happened at Cartoon Network in terms of ownership and roles that they're looking for. If you ask me that now, which is the question now, I would say my biggest goal is to make something that I'm proud of. I think the older I get and the more I create, the more I trust in my own creation and ability to make things on my own that don't necessarily belong to a company or belong to a corporation. So I think my biggest dream is just to make something that I look at with 100% pride and go, yeah, regardless of how it turns out with this thing monetarily or any sort of longevity that's applied to it, I look at it and I say, this is a really awesome thing. So my biggest dream is just to make my own thing, make my own company, make my own comics, make my own cartoons, just to make my own stuff, which is a very simple dream, but it's also a very demanding one, because that means I have to do the majority of the work. But I welcome it. I love what I do. What other businesses or creators inspire you? So creators, first off, Akira Toriyama, who is the creator of Dr. Slump and Dragon Ball. Ichiro Oda, who's the mangaka behind One Piece. Kentaro Miura, who's the artist behind Berserk. Influenced by a lot of manga artists. As far as companies, I really love the way that Adult Swim, their whole aesthetic was really cool. I liked Adult Swim stuff. I'm really into, I guess, the way that Square Enix presents a lot of their products and IPs. They have a very distinct, clear-cut way of presenting their things. Minds, like comedians and stuff like that. I really was a big Patrice O'Neal fan. I love Joey Diaz. Those kind of comics of people who tell stories. Anybody who tells stories, they automatically have a special place in my heart. I can sit and listen to stories for hours. So storytellers inspire me. People who know how to really tell a compelling tale. And for me, that's a lot of comic book artists and writers. So Alan Moore, who's the writer of Watchmen, and he did The Killing Joke and stuff like that. That's another big inspiration of mine. And I'm also really into sort of like boom bap, mid 90s type of hip hop. That whole aesthetic is something that has such a distinct feel, like Tribe Called Quest and Wu-Tang Clan, and that has such a strong presence in my mind, and I think subconsciously in a lot of my work. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? This is always a question that it's hard to answer because, if you would have asked me that 5 years ago, I would have had a answer that isn't reflecting where I am today. Part of that is because the world was subject to a giant contagion called COVID that basically messed everything up. So that question is always hard to answer. Will America still be here in 5 years? Will we all be as free as we are? I don't know. Where I'd like to be is creating. I know that sounds simple and maybe dismissive of reality, but I see myself creating. I see myself drawing comics and doing voiceovers and making funny goofs and just having a fun time. I'm very content with how things are going and very grateful for my opportunities always. So thank you so much, Outside the Box Productions, for entertaining me and allowing me to answer questions on your platform. I would just like to do a little plug here. I'm sure that this publication mentioned it, but worked on a children's book with Zach Arch. Beautiful writing, talking about a story about a otter with dyslexia called Top the Talented Otter, and I was very grateful to be brought onto this project, to do illustration. So yeah, go check that out. Go check out Top the Talented Otter and Outside the Box Productions. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.